and welcome to the World State's favorite morning talk show, Waking Up with Soma. Today, we have two very special guests who have just arrived from the mysterious Savage Reservation. Sitting with us right now is one of our very own betas, Linda. 25 years ago, Linda took a trip to the reservation and was tragically separated from Tomakin, who recently resigned from his position as director. So, how are you today, Linda?
I'm fantastic! It's great to be in my own clothes in the World State.
I can't imagine living without all the amenities we have here in the World State. Tell me, what were the conditions like?
It was absolutely horrible.
Do tell.
Whenever I first arrived at the reservation, it was absolutely appalling. When I went to bed that night, I desperately longed for the scent organ to mask the stench of all the filthy people. Disease filled the air and everything was covered in dirt. The people were equally as disgusting as the environment they call home. We lived in tiny pueblos that were made of dried clay and mud. There was no electricity, plumbing, obstacle golf, or even Soma.
Wait, hold up. No Soma? How did you survive?
I know it sounds horrible, but there was a substitute. It's called mezcal. It gave the same feeling as Soma, but it made you feel ill afterwards.
How queer. Tell me more about the people living on the reservation. I've heard a lot of rumors about their strange tendencies.
Very strange indeed. On the reservation, there's marriage and monogamy. People even have children. No one there is decanted.
Did you inherit any of their monogamous behavior in the 25 years that you were there?
Of course not. Everybody belongs to everyone else.
Did this cause any conflict among you and the savages living there?
Ford, yes. On one account, the other women, who acted more like beasts than humans, got angry because I was having their husbands. My son and I were frequently harassed and even stoned by the villagers of Malpais.
Speaking of your son, how does it feel to call yourself a mother?
The word still makes me cringe. I've never been more ashamed of anything in my life than I am to be a mother.
It must have been horribly dreadful.
At times, it was. But at other times, John was a great comfort to me.
Well, you and John must have been really excited when you arrived at the World State yesterday. How did people react upon your arrival?
They seemed shocked to see a beta in my condition.
And Tomakin?
That was the worst part. He no longer looked at me like he did 25 years ago. He seemed terrified, and more so, disgusted.
How did he react to the news that he was a father?
Well, as you know, he resigned from his position. If anyone were in his situation, they would have been just as humiliated. But whenever he rejected me, it was like the pain of being a mother all over again.
Oh my, I can't imagine your sorrow. Have you taken any Soma since you came home?
Yes, of course. Dr. Shaw has recommended that I go on a Soma holiday after all the trauma I've been through at the reservation. After all, a gram is better than a dam.
Well said, Linda. Thanks for coming in today, and enjoy your Soma holiday. And for the viewers at home, please stay tuned for our next guest after this short commercial break.
Does your cat get upset about the helicopter rides to the vet? If so, try the new Kitty Soma to avoid another stressful trip.
Hello, and welcome back to Waking Up with Soma. Although Allie kept composure on air, the information that Linda shared with her was too much for her to handle, and she had to leave. I will be her replacement for the second half of our show. With us now is our other special guest, son of Linda, Mr. Savage.
Please, call me John.
How are you today, John? Are you enjoying the World State?
I'm great, thanks. The World State is extremely different from the reservation. It's so strange to finally see everything that my mother described in her stories. I grew up listening to them, but I never imagined that I would ever actually visit the brave new world.
Speaking of your childhood, Linda mentioned that you two had some hardships back at the reservation. From your perspective, what was it like when your mother's views clashed with the traditional beliefs of the community?
It was extremely difficult for us to fit in. I grew somewhat of a hatred for my mother because of her actions. She often pushed me aside for the opportunity to drink mezcal or have a man for the night.
As an unconditioned child, how did you deal with these feelings?
I often read Shakespeare to occupy myself and keep my mind on other things. It was these stories that gave me the idea to kill one of the men my mother was having. It was an unsuccessful attempt.
These stories must have been very powerful. Would you mind reciting a few lines from one?
Is there no pity, sitting in the clouds, that sees into the bottom of my grief? Oh, sweet mother, cast me not away. Delay this marriage for a month, a week.
Oh, Ford, how could one of our own betas allow such obscene literature to be taught?
There weren't very many books available on the reservation, so few people were well educated or could even read at all.
Sounds like a bunch of epsilons to me. How did you learn to read?
My mother and I practiced by writing with charcoal on the wall. She would draw pictures for me and write letters underneath them. Eventually, I caught on and I could read all the words she wrote, so she gave me a book about conditioning in the world state.
But if people weren't educated, how did they earn respect in society?
There was a test of manhood, where one man was chosen to sacrifice blood and prove his strength. The chosen man is whipped repeatedly for the sake of the pueblo. It helps the rain come and the crops grow. It pleases Pukong and Jesus, and so it is a great honor to be this man.
Ugh, just the thought of all that blood makes me feel ill. Let's change the subject to something a little more pleasant. Are there any women that you've met since you've arrived?
Well, I did meet one girl. Her name is Lenina. She traveled with Bernard to the reservation.
How wonderful. I've heard she's very promiscuous. Have you had her yet?
Excuse me? We just met. I thought she was seeing Bernard. Anyways, they came to the reservation together.
Oh, but John, everybody belongs to everyone else. I know Bernard wouldn't mind, especially because it was you that saved him from being sent away to Iceland.
I do like Lenina a lot, but I'm still unworthy of her.
Well, maybe in a couple of months, you will be more adapted to our views in the world state. Hopefully we can get some juicy details in our follow-up interview.
I'm not sure what twists and turns Pukong has planned for me, but we'll have to wait and see.
Well, thanks for stopping by, and I hope everything works out with Lenina. And to our viewers at home, this concludes yet another episode of Waking Up with Soma. Tune in tomorrow when we chat with the stars of 3 Weeks in a Helicopter, all super singing, synthetic talking, colored, stereoscopic feely. Enjoy the rest of your morning, world state, and remember, 1 cubic centimeter cures 10 gloomy sentiments.